Hello everybody, GZTV back with another video. This is the first of possibly 3 YouTube videos today because we are going to be talking about the music that dropped this week that isn't JID's or DJ Khaled's, because obviously I already reviewed those on the channel. We'll be discussing that for a little bit. And then we have a Madden Road to Glory. That's right, we got episode 3 of the Road to Glory series. I've been steadily improving my team, so I think it's time for another episode of that. But yeah, let's go. Let's get through the plot and let's get to the reception for this episode. Season 2, Episode 3, Save the Last One. Pretty big episode, character development wise and all that. A lot of plot lines have started to close up. And yeah. So with Shane Walsh and Otis missing for hours, Herschel Green informs Rick Grimes and his wife Lori that he must perform the surgery of their son Carl without the necessary equipment. And there's a lot of plot convenience in this episode that I won't get too in depth with. It's kind of the dramatic thing that TV shows do all the time, where just when they're about to make a bad decision, the guys show up and save the day. And I think that's why I like the movie The Mist, because they kind of flipped that script. The guy made the bad decision and then the people showed up, so it was a plot inconvenience for him. That's probably why The Mist is such a critically acclaimed movie for that ending. But let's get into this. Let's get into a little more of this plot here. So they're like, look, these guys aren't coming back anytime soon. It doesn't seem like, so we're gonna have to take the risk and perform without any equipment. And he's probably not gonna make it out. If you don't have a respirator and stuff, he's gonna probably stop breathing in the middle of surgery. Then you're just performing an operation on a dead body. Let's be real. But Andrea and Daryl Dixon go out in search of Sophia Pelletier, following her mother Carol, weeping for her loss. So they're hearing her cry, and Daryl's starting to go insane. He kind of needs to get out of this place and go look for her so she can be quiet. And all the sadness, the sadness will never go away given that they're in a zombie apocalypse, but he needs to make things right and get people out of this terrible state that most of the survivors are in. But yeah, Daryl tells Andrea about his childhood and expresses hope that they will successfully locate Sophia. So these two kind of had a bonding moment as they're walking through the woods looking for Sophia. They're kind of talking about their own experiences. It's kind of a cool thing for these two characters, because we don't get a lot of this sympathetic, passionate dialogue out of these two that much in this series. They're kind of just there at this point. They're not in a very major storyline. They're just kind of staying behind. They stumbled upon an abandoned campsite where a person had committed suicide by hanging themselves from a tree and now has become an undead walker. So if you don't shoot yourself in the head, if you don't suffer a brain damage in the process of dying, then you're not going to die completely. You're going to become a walker, and that's what we're starting to kind of learn about this whole zombie apocalypse. Is if you got to shoot yourself in the head, you can't hang yourself in this situation. One, the hanging, that's a terrible death. And 2, you're gonna become a walker hanging from a tree. I don't think that's the way you want to go out. Yeah. So Daryl insists that they leave the walker alone, but Andrea firmly refuses. She's like, look, we need to put him out of his misery. I was trying to put myself out of my misery going through the lab and going in that lab, the CDC, and she kind of sees this connection between her and this walker momentarily. She's like, look, this guy just wanted to end his life. He just wanted to get it over with. He killed himself because he was probably starting to get surrounded by walkers, and the walkers ate his flesh off of his legs, and now he's suffering even more. And I kind of felt that way at CDC. My legs were swooped out from underneath me. So many different hardships were going on in our group, so I think we should just take him out and finish the job that I couldn't quite finish for myself. So he asks her if she wants to continue living, to which she replies with uncertainty. She's like, I don't know, honestly, at this point. We're so deep into this apocalypse, things are going down, and she's questioning whether she wants to be alive anymore, and that's kind of a dark thing in the show, and things that I'm sure a lot of the people faced. That should be kind of implied. Daryl euthanizes the walker as they leave, so that he kills him, putting him out of his misery. Probably a good gesture for Daryl, because Daryl, he doesn't really have sympathy for a lot of people, but in this episode, he kind of starts to show that, and he understands this guy just wanted to end it and end suffering. Yeah. Upon returning to Camp Dale, Horvath attempts to reconcile with Andrea by returning her handgun. She's like, look, here's your gun. We took it away from you because you were kind of suicidal at the moment, but here's your gun back. Use it wisely. I'm putting my trust in you. I want to earn your trust back by giving you back this gun. Here you go. Anyways, over to Glenn and T-Dog. Glenn and T-Dog journey to the Green Homes. They're another group of survivors that are arriving at this civilization while the others are staying back and looking for Sophia and being on the lookout. There, Glenn begins to pray for the well-being of his fellow survivors, while T-Dog receives medical treatment for blood poisoning. He just about died. Daryl and Merle saved his life, which is a crazy revelation pretty much, because this whole time, they left Merle behind, and T-Dog had this hatred for Merle. He was like this bigoted, racist guy, and he kind of had some hatred for Merle, but now he's going to have to realize, like, look, this guy saved my life. He gave me some painkillers, so... Meanwhile, Carl goes in and out of consciousness and briefly recalls his encounter with a deer before going into a seizure. It's a very emotional, very messed up and disturbing moment for the family. I don't remember the last name. The Grimes. The Grimes family. It's very traumatizing, very, very terrible moment for them to have to endure and experience with their son. So a distraught Lori opines to Rick about ending Carl's suffering, but Rick insists on keeping him alive. So Lori kind of brings up this evil idea. She's like, let's just let him die. I mean, I don't know. I'm on Rick's, we're starting to get more on Rick's side as the story kind of continues, and she's like, let's just let Rick die. And I mean, it's a painful death at that. I mean, maybe shoot him in the head. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of dark realities that come with this zombie apocalypse, and something that doesn't seem like you can make out of. But yeah. Rick's like, let's let the kid live for as long as he can. He's got that hopeful mentality, that optimistic mentality. At the high school, Shane and Otis split up after struggling against a horde of walkers, so this is kind of one of the first times in the episode that we really get a full scene with these two. Both injure their legs while escaping, slowing their progress down. Obviously, the dramatic tripping and falling in a suspenseful sense. Shane and Otis seemingly are out of options for survival. They're like, we might as well just end it here. I mean, a lot of suicidal messages in this episode. They begin to limp back to their truck, eventually running low on ammo. So now they're like, we gotta move. We can't stop and shoot and make a stand here. We gotta retreat. So Rick and Lori decide to do the operation without the necessary equipment. So they make a big risk. They make a big decision. They're like, look, we just want our son back. He's either going to die or die trying, As they prepare for their operation, Shane arrives with the medical supplies, but without Otis. We don't know what happens to Otis. In a few seconds here, we're going to find out what happened to Otis here in the plot. He claims that Otis sacrificed himself in order to save Carl. In reality, though, there's like a crazy flashback, and oh my goodness, it's very disturbing, and it's kind of shocking to watch this. The episode flashes back to show Shane sacrificed Otis by shooting him in the leg and leaving him as bait for the walkers while he escaped with the medicine. So kind of like he left him for some bait for the walkers so he could get away. So we thought Shane was like a justifiable man. We thought we were very understanding of him, and then we realized that he shot a guy in the foot and left him behind so he could get away. So now we're looking at him as kind of this selfish character. And he's been seen as a selfish character by a lot of the other characters, but I'm starting to adopt that about him as well. The episode ends in the present with Shane shaving his head, wiping out evidence of a bald spot of torn hair caused by Otis during their brief scuffle. And that's even more of a jealous gesture from him. It's kind of wild. So it's a critically acclaimed episode by television critics, 9 out of 10 on IGN, amazing episode. Some people's favorites since the pilot episode. Had scary zombie scenes, good action, interesting character interaction, and a revelation at the end that gave us a whole lot to process. Some people were split. It was eminently watchable. The episode was unbalanced as a whole and criticized and the dialogue wasn't that good. Some people say the show continues to display a disproportionate amount of dialogue compared to the development of its characters. It needs to do a better job of biding its time between crowd-pleasing zombie attacks. The characters need more depth. The show seems to be setting itself out to be a slow-burning character study in the context of a zombie apocalypse, and with enough chase scenes and other scares to entice folks who just want brain-eating action. And the characters need more to be more complex than they've been shown to be so far. Holy shit, there's a lot of critical reception. The episodic pace was faster than the last episode, which people liked. Tonight, the episode is all about pairs, Shane and Otis, two soldiers in a foxhole, Rick and Lori, two parents at odds over how to handle their son's failing condition, Glenn and Maggie, two strangers desperate to make a connection, Andrea and Daryl, two opposites trying to find a reason to move on. Great scenes with all these duos, and it really goes to show just how fantastic the Walking Dead cast is, both on the loud and quiet moments. B- on the AV Club. The episode was superior to the previous episode. I mean, I can agree with that. Some people said, truth be told, after 3 episodes, very little has happened so far this season. I don't think so. I think a lot has fucking happened. A kid has gotten shot. We've had a couple people die. I mean, you gotta give this, now looking back on an 11 season series, you gotta give it some time. The episode didn't really have a direction. It managed to retain the tension and action that makes a show a thrill right every week. For some, the slow pace is real time, and real time is something of a bother, but it adds to the intensity of the character situation in the show itself. 4 out of 5. On TV Fanatics, the episode was the strongest installment of the season, as well as one of the best of this series. The character development of Shane was great. The execution of Otis was great. It was a dark moment of the series. It added anticipation of future development. At some point, Shane will have to come clean with Rick about what happened to Otis, given Rick's extremely rigid, morale sick code and Shane's more now demonstrated willingness to do whatever it takes to survive. The showdown promises to be bigger than just a battle of 2 alpha males. The Rick-Shane divide is a battle of 2 leaders with different ideas of humanity and survival. The multi-layered opening illustrates how Shane's impulsive nature makes him a valuable, if ruthless, warrior. Shane's character development. Shane has long been the dark horse of the group, the one most likely to go off the morality reservation, and this reveal works well to bring him that much closer to darkness. It's not the subtlest moment, but given how friendly and cool Otis was, and given how well the two seem to be working together, it's a strong twist. Because of the death of Otis, the show now has a sense of direction. His decision to sacrifice Otis is easy enough to rationalize. Somebody had to get back for Carl's sake. Shane was faster, and both of them probably weren't going to make it. That's the beauty of it. In a certain light, he made the right choice. This episode delivered even more scares than usual. Shane's escape from the high school was almost unbearably tense, but I'm out. I liked the episode. I think it was good. As well. It was crazy. It was one of the first episodes in the series where I was like, oh my god, I'm glued to the screen. Probably because I've watched it before. That's not really a fair thing to say. Like when I've watched it before and I rewatch it. I don't think this show has that much rewatchable value whatsoever, but I wanted to discuss it on the YouTube channel because it is one of the most critically acclaimed TV shows ever. But that's going to be it. I'm out. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, it is GZTV, reviewing your favorite TV shows. I got to go to lunch soon, so I'm probably going to go to lunch right now, actually. But hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. We have 2 more videos. We have weekly track rundown. I'm sorry I'm being so quiet. We have weekly track rundown, and we have another episode of Madden. So, yeah.